Hello, everyone, whoever has joined from whatever time zone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Today's topic for the webinar is accelerating e-commerce with marketing intelligence on Snowflake. Just another good day to discuss about uh, what are the key things which e-commerce arena is being explored for, specifically with Hevo, Snowflake, and of course, to talk about how we do all of this, we have PROLIM with us. From PROLIM, we have Anant, who heads the Snowflake practice. And we also have Aprajita, who is a business analyst at PROLIM. Guys, thank you so much for joining in. I know we have a lot of agenda planned for the today, but really, really thank you for joining in today. Great. Talking about the agenda that we're going to cover today, uh, the basic D2C challenges that we are seeing on ground and how ProLim and their team have expertise in solving those challenges. See the entire solution with Hevo. How exactly are we tying up the entire architecture for all these D2C sources? See the entire Snowflake data cloud overview, the end-to-end solution architecture for these use cases, be it the Streamlit dashboards in downstream or the agentic way of working on things in action. And then we'll move towards a live demo, followed by the outcomes of such use cases and what's the typically time to market for such use cases, right? So because we have a lot to pack in, let's get started, guys. The problem statement, right? What are the D2C business challenges? So, Aprajita, Anand, over to you. Please walk us through what are the challenges you guys are facing with your customers on a day-to-day basis.
Yes. Thank you and hello everyone. So getting started with the D2C business challenges, right? That's a really great question because we know almost every D2C organizations we speak with almost faces the same version of the same challenges, right? As brands, grow, data starts getting distributed across, multiple platforms. So orders, let's say, can come from Shopify, Amazon, customer engagement data may come from Klaviyo, fulfillment data can come from different systems like ShipFusion. When we talk about the marketing performance data, they can come from Google, Meta, ads, etc. Right? So the result is that teams spend a very significant amount of time manually consolidating the data and also reconciling the numbers instead of actually analyzing the business. This is where the actual problem comes into picture, right? When we talk about the other challenges, it is also the lack of single customer view, and this is where Snowflake plays a major role. So the same customer, may interact through multiple channels, definitely making it difficult for the business to, calculate the customer lifetime value, acquisition costs, and so on, right? We can keep telling about it more and more. And also the marketing attribution is another major challenge. Different platforms often report different numbers, creating definitely a lot of confusion around, which campaign is performing better, how to drive performance, how to optimize it. Is it Google ads? Is it Meta ads? So there are so many questions that come along the same way, right? On top of that, there are also many organizations who heavily rely on the business intelligence team for even a simple reporting question, which definitely leads a long time or creates a lot of time in order to get an answer. And this definitely slows down the decision making. So ultimately, when we talk about these challenges, isn't a lack of data problem, right? It's definitely an inability to that's what I would call it. It's an inability to unify, govern, and also operationalize that data efficiently, right? So this is the kind of business challenges that we see for the
That's such a intrinsic view into the challenges which we are seeing in this landscape. I was dawning upon the complex data integration and multiple sources required to be integrated, and that makes such a good note to just move towards the solution, which is Hevo. Solving the ingestion part, we do have 150 plus pre-built connectors which help you to stitch data from disparate sources and push it into Snowflake. Within Snowflake, like Aprajita mentioned, you can have a unified data platform. You can have your single source of truth. You can define multiple marts depending on what kind of a data model that you want to, eventually move through your data landscape. And finally, you don't have to even worry about your downstream. You have Streamlit dashboards, you have AI agents for all your downstream requirements. So together in this webinar also, we're going to see how exactly these three aspects of the solution stitch together. Talking more about Hevo, we are a no code, low code data integration platform. We have, like I mentioned, about 150 plus pre-built connectors without any infrastructure to be maintained. Don't look at the 150 plus native connectors because we are in the age of AI and there are more connector requirements coming in. We are there to even build your connector. So we even offer custom offerings and agentic connector builder offerings. With this, what you're getting is firstly CDC time of CDC has never really felt so important as the time that we are living in, because what you want is basically just the incremental data in form of okay inserts, updates, and deletes in real time. We do bill also in the same format and overall enable low latency analytics for all type of reporting use cases. Along with this, what happens is you detect your source schema and adapt that in the destination. So you don't have to do any manual process of mapping your source data structure in your destination. Overall, when you are walking through a pipeline or creating a pipeline, it's not just about how simple and effective it is to create, it's also about the reliability which brings further on. So in case there are failures, there are automatic retries, there's monitoring and observability built all along the pipeline layer, and there's robust alerting feature enabled within the product. Through this, what we are trying to give you is fresh data and overall reduce your engineering effort for maintaining your entire data engineering stack. That was about Hevo. But Aprajita, Anant, I would want you to talk about the second part of the solution, which is Snowflake.
Absolutely. So let's start with the Snowflake Data Cloud. So when we talk about it, Snowflake is basically a fully managed SaaS platform that's available across all major cloud providers, right, including AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. And when you talk about its foundation, so Snowflake provides a unified data platform, which definitely means you can bring together structured, semi-structured, and even unstructured data into a single platform. Instead of managing multiple systems, everything lives in now one place, which is a unified platform, creating a trusted single source of truth, like Kushagra mentioned, right? One of the things that a Snowflake makes, one of the things that makes Snowflake stand out is that it's decoupled architecture, where we all know that the storage and compute are completely separate here, right? In simple terms, if you want me to explain, you can scale compute resources independently without, affecting any storage. So basically, this gives you a true workload isolation. For example, let's say your BI team can run dashboards, your data engineering team can execute pipelines. Everything can happen parallelly, simultaneously, without impacting each other's performance, right? This is a very unique and interesting feature. And talking about the platform, it also includes a rich set of cloud services that handles performance optimization. It has metadata management. It also performs management behind the scenes, right? The platform management is very simple when it comes to Snowflake. This means you don't have to spend a lot of time managing the infrastructure, and more time focusing on delivering the business value gets higher on that end, right? Now talking about the governance perspective, so Snowflake definitely provides enterprise grade security and compliance. It's just right out of the box, So features such as RBAC, which is role-based access control, dynamic masking, auditing, and also anything related to HIPAA. This definitely helps secure the sensitive data, and it remains secure and accessible only to the right users. So not everyone will be able to access the data, whoever is part of Snowflake, right? So there is all of the security and governance provided within Snowflake. Another key capability is it the metadata driven structure, right? So this holds everything. It gives a better visibility to the lineage, the governance, and also it makes easy for people to understand how the data can be used. And the most important part is that now that we are living in the AI era, this is the best tool to use. So it has the Cortex Search, Cortex Analyst, the Snowflake Intelligence, now called the Snowflake Cowork, all of this, and also the Streamlit dashboarding, which helps anyone can just type a simple natural language question and you immediately can get a visual, or the data can help you understand how your business is performing, right? So all of this is possible with Snowflake, and it's not just a data warehouse. It's a very scalable, secure, and also an AI-ready platform that helps organization turn data into a business decisions. Yeah,
That's a really deep introduction into Snowflake, and thank you for that, Aprajita. Now that we've established the integration setup and the landing setup for our AI-ready data, how about looking deep into the architecture, which eventually forms for, all of such D2C specific use cases?
sure. Yes. So there you go. Here is the end-to-end solution architecture. So basically, this is the heart of the entire solution, right? So here you can see we have integrated 8+ source systems. We have 30 KPIs. We have role-based governance, as explained earlier. We have 5 different Streamlit dashboards here with 1 hour of refresh, and it can be it can be customizable. And also the Snowflake Cortex AI is also enabled here, right? So now looking at in depth of the architecture. So on the left side, what you're seeing are nothing but the source systems. Here we have Amazon Seller Central, Ship Fusion, Shopify, GA4, all of the ad for platforms like Google Ads, Meta Ads, Amazon, Klaviyo, etc. And all of these I mean, Hevo acts as an ingestion tool here, and continuously brings that data into Snowflake through all of the managed pipelines, right? So the data first lands in the raw layer, where what we do is we preserve all of the data and maintain that as a single source of truth, and all of the historical records also present there, right? This basically ensures auditability and also allows us to trace data back to its origin in case we wanted to go and look back, right? So that is where we store all of the raw data. Moving from there is nothing but the curated layer where transformations and all of the enrichments that we do or the beautifications that we do occur. So basically here, let's say the Shopify and Amazon orders are all or are all standardized. Advertising data is unified. Customer identities, when it comes to different platforms, when a same customer is purchasing from different platforms, how do we identify them? So the customer identities are resolved. And even the business can do all of the calculations like lifetime value or the repeat purchase rate. So in order to target the audience, right? So all of this can all be readily generated here. Moving to the next layer is the semantic layer, right? Which I believe is one of the most important piece of this architecture. Basically, this solves all of the reporting needs and the AI/ML capabilities that we have. So this is where the business metrics such as, the revenue, ROAS, CAC, MER, AOV, average order value, all of these are defined once, and they are governed centrally. So you don't have to like keep doing this again and again. So every dashboard, report, and AI agents uses the same business definitions that are built in the semantic layer, right? On top of this semantic layer is where we have all of the 5 dashboards that sits, and it is the Streamlit dashboard. It is designed for different business personas. So let's say one person, I mean, like all of them don't have to like just go through one reporting or one dashboard, which makes it more difficult. So what we have done is we have specified it for each of the personas. So like the executives, receive KPI summaries. Marketing teams, has the ROAS and campaign insights that they want to look at. Let's talk about the merchandising team. Maybe they want to look at the product intelligence. Likewise, each of the personas may be intended to just look at their specific things and don't have to go through the entire dashboarding. And henceforth, we have categorized and we have built like 5 different dashboards here. And finally, we also have 3 Cortex-powered AI agents that basically helps user analyze performance, also monitor the marketing efficiency and recommend the customer retention actions and make sure that they retain with the same business, right? So basically, this is the complete overview of the architecture, and I'm sure that in the upcoming minutes, we'll also go through the demo and see how this solution comes live and how it looks like. Yeah.
And just adding to Aparajita again, this is more like a scalable solution architecture. So what are all the sources we are seeing here that can be extendable? Again, Hevo has the greater connectivity today. In a real quick time, we can bring the data into the meaningful insights. So if there is no connector available, as Kushagra mentioned, it is always possible with an API endpoint. We can quickly bring the data to the raw layer and we can convert into the insights. And the solution is more like kind of a ready-made plug and play. You bring any data in terms of the D2C ecosystem, be it your Shopify or G4A or G4 Analytics or Google data. So the semantic layer, what we have designed, it is more like a ready-made solution because the raw will land and it will become like a source of truth. On top of, you call it as a curated or a harmonization layer where we will do a lot of data quality checks and then your data cleaning process and bringing the source data to a meaningful insights. And then here, it is more like an automated semantic layer. What I mean to say, today we targeted 8 different source systems. Tomorrow, if you want to bring an additional 2 source system. So the efforts will be more just connect with Hevo, that is real quick, land the data in raw layer, and then the automated agent, which will move the data from raw to curated to semantic layer. So the 5 different dashboard what we have enabled and the agents what we have enabled, there will be no rework. So it is more like an agentic AI solution. Just land the data and then just landing the data, he was helping us in a real quick. So it's more like not a standard solution. It's more kind of a scalable solution architecture with the platform by leveraging Snowflake and with the help of Kivo, the data movement will be real quick. Yeah, thanks, Aparajita.
Thanks for that lovely explanation. It's really impeccable that such a complex use case has been made in such a reusable format. I'm really looking forward to listen from you about the dashboards particularly because that's what excites the end user, right? What am I seeing? How am I seeing my data? So what are these dashboard use cases, Prajita, if you can walk us through?
Yes, definitely. So as we mentioned, right, this is targeted as per different personas. So one of the key design principles of this solution is that, not every user needs the same information, as I mentioned earlier, right? So let's talk about the executive KPI dashboard. Basically, it is designed for, the leadership team who wants to, quickly view the business health across revenues, orders, how is the channel performing, etc. So they can just go into the respective dashboard and get all of the insights that they require for, right? And the revenue and order dashboard, when we talk about this, helps merchandising team to understand product performance, refunds, discounts, and also the revenue trends. So they can look up to this particular dashboard. Now moving to the next one, which is the marketing efficiency dashboard. This is basically focused for the performance marketing team where they want to understand the campaign performance, how is their return on ad spends working on, how is their customer acquisition cost, how are the budgets allocated. All of these metrics, if they want to look at, they can opt for the marketing efficiency dashboard. Moving to the next, which is the web analytics dashboard. So this basically combines the GA4 and the Search Console data to provide visibility into the customer behavior, how is the traffic patterns, how are the sessions, how are the conversions happening, basically more on the SEO performance, right? And moving to the next dashboard, it's the customer LTV and the retention dashboard. This definitely helps the growth team to understand the customer value, how to do the loyalty trends, and what are the repeat purchase patterns. All of these can be helpful for them to analyze and take business actions and decisions, right? So together, these dashboards, provide a complete view of the business while also, ensuring each and every stakeholder receives relevant information and nothing more than that. Yeah. So this is targeted to each person.
Wonderful. I love how you have also segregated the specific KPIs for the required persona. Now that we've established one aspect of the downstream requirement, which is fulfilled by Streamlit, how does AI come into picture? How does it solve the entire time to action when it comes to downstream use cases for D2C?
Right. I think that's where our three of the agents come and play a major role in. So basically, the easiest way to understand these are nothing but let's just keep the keywords in mind, right? Analyze, automate, and act. So those are the words that we have given for each of the agent. So let's talk about the first agent, which is the executive insights agent. This is basically focused on the word analysis, right? Like I mentioned, analyze. So users can ask, business questions in just simple English or plain English and receive governed answers, like mentioned, how Snowflake is focused particularly on the governance and security instantly, right? So it essentially democratizes analytics for executives and business users. So this is the performance of how our first agent works, which is the executive insight agent. Moving on to the next, it's the marketing spend watch agent, right? Sounds all fancy. So it basically focuses on the automation piece, right? It continuously, monitors marketing performance. It identifies anomalies and also, proactively alerts team when any action is required. So it's easy for them to take it up and come with a defined answer, right? And moving to the next agent, it's the cohort and promotion decision agent. Basically, this focuses on the word action, right? So it analyzes customer behavior. It will also help you recommend promotional campaigns, what has to be done, also estimates expected business impact. And all three agents, it's important to understand that, it operates morely on the governed business data from the semantic layer, like Anant mentioned, right? That means that the answers, the alerts, and all of the recommendations remain consistent and trustworthy, and it's all within the system, and nothing, your data does not move out. Yeah.
Analyze, automate, and action. I would remember these keywords and I would want to see this in action further. But enough said and done. I mean, we have set the context. Now, let's just move towards the demo. Quick context for everyone. We'll be using the same solution that we talked about. We'll be starting with a simple pipeline creation from Shopify to Snowflake. I'll be walking you through how simple and effective it is to do using Hevo. And then I'll hand it over to Aprajita and Anand for walking you through the other aspects of the downstream use cases using Snowflake, of course. So let me just switch to Hevo. All right. I hope you guys are able to see my screen.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Great. So this is the landing page of Hevo data. Those who are familiar with Hevo might see a change in the UI. We are constantly upgrading the UI for the best experience for our customers. Uh, the use case that we talked about was from Shopify to Snowflake. The process of pipeline creation will be very simple, and I'll walk you through how simple it is to create the pipeline. I already have a pre-created pipeline over here so that I can walk you through how a running pipeline looks like. Let's start the building process. You'll see there's a create pipeline button over here. As I click on this, I'm redirected to this directory of about 150 plus, pre-built out-of-the-box connectors, which range across different diaspora of sources. So from database and file systems, engineering and analytics-based sources, finance and accounting, marketing, which is what our use case covers today. Apart from the product, sales, and support. So you name what type of source you want. If it is present in the out-of-the-box connector, you can just utilize, authenticate, and build your pipeline. In case you do not see your connector in the list, like I mentioned, we are living in the time of agentic AI, and custom connector can be very easily rolled out. Now, talking about our source today, Shopify. I'll just search for Shopify over here, click on it, destination, Snowflake. And this is the first aspect of your pipeline creation, configuration of the source itself. Now, Shopify, being a GraphQL based API specific source, there are specific authentication that you would require for moving your shop data from Shopify into Snowflake. Firstly, I'll just name my source, demo source. Then I'll just copy my credentials. Just give me a second. Shop name, client ID, client secret key. By the way, how to get this credential in case, let's say, you're first time integrating your data from Shopify? There is a setup guide towards the right hand side of the page. So you can go to your Shopify app and see how you can get these credentials as well in order to connect to your specific source. So all the prerequisites, it's not just for Shopify, for any source in Hevo, you will know from the started or the setup guide to just understand how you can connect to your source, what are the prerequisites required for it. Lastly, the secret key. And there you go. I'll move to configuring my destination. It will do some validation checks of the credentials that I've provided. So just a second. There it goes. I already have multiple Snowflake destinations created. I'll just use one of them. As I click on destination, it will just ask you to validate, okay, if this is the right warehouse database, basically the right context provided for moving your data. And then as it validates all the destination details, which is actually where you're moving your data, you are on the step of configuring your pipeline, which is effectively defining how your data will move from Shopify into Snowflake. So now that our connection is established, let's just set up our pipeline and just name it as demo pipeline. This comes as my pipeline name. Now, prefix is fairly important. We saw in the architecture which Prajita and Anand walked us through, there are so many sources which we are, bringing in from Google Ads, from Shopify, could be some custom API endpoint. But you want your single source of truth. It could be like one marketing database, right? But how do you segregate it schematically in order to, build all your downstream queries? This is where a thing like destination prefix help, because you can use effectively the same destination, the same database, but still schematically segregate multiple source data which might be moving into the same destination. So saves a lot of time on your OLAP end for segregating your schema and then finally writing your queries. I'll just name it as Shopify schema. So it will name as a Shopify schema at Snowflake once you're moving data. Now, because we talked about how effectively we are built on the philosophy of observability and error handling, you'll see a lot of new elements as we go along creating this pipeline. First is the failure handling policy. Now, by default in Hevo, we have set this at moderate, which is you can continue loading your data in case there are about less than 10,000 of failed rows, or how we call them events. Why this is moderate? Because we want you to set this particular threshold as 10,000 as a moderate threshold. But in case you want to go stricter, you can just stop the load in case there's even one single failure. That becomes a stricter policy. Talking about schema management, we told you right in the introduction that you don't have to do manual mapping in terms of the source and destination data structure. Effectively, with the schema evolution policy, what we are giving you as an option is, firstly, allow all changes. That means in case there's any new schema, table, column in your existing table of Shopify, which is moving into Snowflake, we will adapt it on the fly. Just the reverse of it. It could not be a marketing use case, but let's say you have a disaster recovery database, which you just want to move in one go and forget about it. You can block those changes in that respect. Or third option would be purely in terms of backfilling use cases. Let's say there is just new columns that you want to be synced for your existing table in your destination. That comes as the third option, which is allow column level changes. So depending on what type of use case you want to move ahead with, you have a schema evolution policy adaptive for it. Then comes sync frequency. Sync frequency is very straightforward. You define how often you want us to take out data from Shopify and push into Snowflake. It can be hourly, it can be every n minutes. So you can specify the time you want to sync your pipeline. In case you do not want a scheduled run, but let's say there are ad hoc downstream use cases, you do not know when you want the data. So there is also a sync on demand feature, which is basically creating your pipeline without any schedule. And you can trigger the pipeline run through an API and orchestrate it via Airflow further. So not just a scheduled run, even for ad hoc use cases, you can have just a sync on demand feature. Finally, Because latency becomes fairly important when we are moving data from so many sources and there are downstream use cases to be tackled. We have alerting mechanism for a specific threshold of latency. If it is passed, it will be notified to the end user. So multiple aspects to figure out how effectively you can rely upon Hevo to push your data further into your destination. The penultimate step is just to analyze what kind of objects you're moving. There is a selection window in terms of, let's say, if you want to select all the objects or specific objects, all of it can be done through the object configuration page. Now, specifically about Shopify and some of more ad-based sources, so that they have a, a unique schema structure. They may not fall like a table-to-table movement. They might have a parent-child relationship. In case of Shopify, you can see that within the object configuration window itself, we are giving you that particular view that, hey, this is the parent object and following are the child objects that we will be ingesting as we go along. So the schema adaptability is there right in the object configuration page itself. So you don't have to go back to the drawing board and see, hey, what did we miss and do we need to map this or not? It's there as you go on selecting what type of data you want to move, or for certain use case, what type of data do you want. That's about it. I'll save my pipeline, just go through all the configurations again and save it. You are done. Your pipeline is created. It will start pushing data from Shopify to Snowflake. To save time, I do have a pre-created pipeline. This is running from, again, the same source and destination. Now, as I look into this pipeline, this is a particular job. Now, there are two types of job, historical and incremental. As you go along pushing your data, the first job would always be historical. It is giving you a complete view of what is happening as you're moving your data from Shopify to Snowflake. How many objects were selected, how much data was ingested and loaded into Snowflake. If there are any failures, those will also be pointed out. You can have a session log at job basis downloaded for the governance. And while this is a broader view, there's also more granular view in terms of object level movement. So for a particular object called media image, what was the total number of, total volume of data ingested or loaded? So better the view, more effective is for you to rely upon a platform for pushing your data. It's not just about setting up it once in case you go along creating a pipeline and want to probably make some changes. Let's say you want to change the prefix, maybe change the type of replication that you're doing, maybe change anything with respect to your schema. All of it can be edited out, so you don't have to recreate a pipeline again. In case you want to make changes within your source, you can do it on the go within a running pipeline. You also get an object level view of what has actually moved from my source to destination. Now, this inaccessible basically means I didn't select it while I was creating my pipeline, but whatever has been selected, you can view. You can see all the fields which will be moving from this particular object, and all the activities are logged right from the pipeline creation to any schematic changes. So because we were talking about the principle of governance, RBAC, there would be collaboration within your ETL, ELT pipeline building process as well, right? And he also has a robust RBAC facility. So you can actually see which user did what activity on a pipeline and govern it that way as you move all the mission critical data or specific PII data also. So that's how simple it is to create a pipeline. Apart from it, few more aspects. Uh, we talked about we are there to support you. We are there to alert you on specific features. So there's a alerting tab also, which is capturing alerts based on unique preferences. So it could be a critical preference in terms of any kind of specific job failure, or certain objects were completed, but not all of them. Anything that was deferred, any deletion or disablement of pipelines. So all unique granular details of your entire pipeline are captured, and you can add your entire team for, again, better governance and better collaboration on a specific pipeline. So that was on Hevo and how simply we have moved our Shopify data into Snowflake. Aprajita, over to you for just telling us how magic can happen in Snowflake.
Anand, over to you. Yes, I'll just share my
Yeah,
screen and Anand
sure,
will take
sure.
us.
Yeah, thanks, Kushagra. You just made it so simple how quickly we can leverage Hevo because this shows the capability of the tool, just setting up a connection. This all happened just now. You just pass the parameter, select the objects, then it can be synced. Then once you're done with the setup, pretty much there it starts with Snowflake. Uh, the screen is just showing. Yeah, meanwhile, again, how the process works between Hevo to Snowflake is more like set up the connection as what we have seen through the Hevo demo. Any source system, be it Shopify or a GFO or any other source system, just set up the connection. Once the connection is enabled, the endpoints will be integrated from the source to the Snowflake. And then we have to always go with the sync frequency. Maybe you want to go with kind of immediate, 1 minute or 5 minutes, or on demand as well. It purely depends upon the business need. And then there is always an option within Hero, like what objects that needs to be synced, which already Kushagra covered. But then this makes a big difference. Like most of the other ingestion or ETL tool, you have to go with the complete dump. There is no option to go with a selected object, which that is really required for your analytical AML use case. So that is the real beauty of the Havo to bring the data in a real quick time to Snowflake. And here is the Snowflake login window. Might be the people who are here might we know about Snowflake, and you might also logged into the platform. It is a SaaS platform again, a URL based access with your user ID and password and multi-factor authentication. Even you can integrate your AD as well. So the left-hand window, what we are seeing, starting with projects, ending with admin, there are different options. But once we sync the data, if you can get into the catalog, so where you can able to see what are all the different sync that we enable between Haver to Snowflake. So if you can just getting into the data explorer here, here are the list of all the database that we have synced so far. But especially if you talk about the solution which we build, as we mentioned during the architectural walkthrough, it is a completely a medallion architecture, raw, curated, and semantic. So under the raw layer, once you enable the connection setup between Pivot to Snowflake, it will comes with all the prefix, suffix, as Kushagra was mentioned. But here it is more on the source. We are not going with any prefix and suffix, and it is always customizable as per the business need. Say, for example, if I'm getting into a GA4, so that will comes up and show you what are all the different objects that I enable the sync between my GA4 to the Snowflake. And based upon the frequency that we enable to for the data refresh and the data sync, that automatically gets synced within the Snowflake raw layer. So it can be completely monitored at the Hago side. Say what is the sync status today, whether it is a successful or the sync failed or some records has been skipped. Even the same kind of a audit log, we can get it within the Snowflake. How many records on every sync that it is extracting, how many records that it is passing into the raw layer. And then we can also see at what time the sync has been enabled to maintain the audit and watermark columns. So once the data lands in raw layer, so this is becoming our source of truth. So what next? Because the data is more in a raw format that cannot be consumable for your insights or for any of your AML use cases. So what we do as a best practice within the curated layer, the movement between raw to curated layer, we can leverage the DPT, which is natively available in Snowflake, or we can go with the native procedures within Snowflake which can move the data from the raw to silver with all the transformation, or you call it as a business rule. Say, for example, I want to deduplicate or I want to do the unification because I'm getting customer from Shopify, I'm getting customer from my Amazon, I'm getting customer from GA4, or may I get a customer from one of my sales core ERP system. So what we do within this curated layer, just again, it's purely an AI driven just go with exact type matched or fuzzy normalized. So you can go with any such matching rule and build one customer 360 view. And also on top of that, we'll do all the data quality check. Again, Snowflake comes with a development-friendly ecosystem. If you can see the right-hand bottom, there may be a star. This is more like a Snowflake code, or you call it as a Snowflake Cortex code, which is more a developer-friendly. You can just prompt, hey, I want to build a customer master by integrating all my source system. So this will give you a complete code, and then just you can copy and execute. That will take most of our the developer workload very easily. So once we move the data, we then now curated with all the transformations, the business rule, the data quality check. It will inbuilt maintain the horizon catalog, which will completely maintains all the data lineage and the metadata repository. Then comes to the semantic layer. Again, this is the core engine for any of the AAML use cases, plus all the Streamlit dashboard what we developed today. So between the curator to building the semantic layer, so it's a two approach. In general, you can go and you can create, you can identify what are all the objects, the tables, the columns, the business specified business name or a column names. And then you can bring your own YAML file and build the model, and then you can deploy it, which will be a more time taking process. But we as a PROLIM, we built inbuilt agents. So once you just execute this agent, it will read all the curated layer, and then it has the business context inbuilt, so it will understand the data, it will understand the metadata, and then it will generate a semantic model in a agentic way. So in a real quick time, we can move the data from raw to curated by leveraging Snowflake Cortex code, and then from curated to the semantic with the inbuilt AI capabilities plus Prolin owned solution. So this will be a pretty much a readiness. Now the data is pretty much available in your semantic layer, where you can just go ahead and you can do your own self-service BA. So maybe I want to know, hey, what is my sales that has been generated in the last year? So even though the inbuilt dashboard, what we delivered can answer, but still it will give you a capability for any business users or key operation team or a IT manager or for a procurement manager. They can just go ahead and they can just get the results out of it. So what we'll do as a next step, we will show you some of the inbuilt dashboards which we built. It's more like a ready-made solution, and it can be a deployable kind of a plug and play. So during the demo, how Aparajita was showing like different personas with a 5 different dashboard at a CIO, CFO level, at a marketing team level, at a ad platform level. So all these dashboards are pretty much available. Maybe if we can just, I'll go to one dashboard, and all these dashboards are built on top of the Streamlit. Again, Streamlit is natively available within Snowflake, which will cut down a lot of your any external visualization tools. You don't need to get into a marketplace visualization tool to pay an additional cost. Streamlit comes with native, and the consumption is purely based upon what the data that you are retrieving, nothing on top of what the code that we are generating. So this is the landing page. Again, the skin and style, the design, the template can be customizable as per the business need. So this is a landing page which talks about what is this dashboard caters to the business. So what are all the different platforms that we are bringing in? How many KPIs that holds? How the data moves? What now if you see this particular executive KPI dashboard, so it takes the data from Shopify, it brings the data from Amazon SE, and then it will bring the data from all the Google ad platform. Everything flows to the Snowflake using Hevo, and then the raw layer curated and the semantic layer on top of what is the executive summary dashboard and the agent what we build. So everything is built internally by native Snowflake features and functionalities. No external tool or no external ingestion except Hevo. And we can bring a lot of a kind of a textual representation, and then with a insights what this dashboard talks about, how data sync has been happened. So see, this is something one of the challenges in most of the visualization today. Hey, I'm getting a very good visual, but this the data is refreshed very frequently, or from which source system I'm getting this data. All these insight can be really in a real quick way we can enable it within the Streamlit. Now, if we can just going to as an executive dashboard. So if you just click on the dashboard again, everything is a mouse click and one click interaction between the Snowflake Streamlit page, which talks about the key metrics which we are offering around a 30 plus KPIs. which is again a industry standard. So all these KPIs, the definitions, it's not a kind of a, a generic one. It is more or like a industry standard with our experience across different customer, with our experience in extracting data from the different source system. We build this one semantic view which caters all the industry specific KPIs. Maybe starting with your net revenue or with your revenue, what is the ROAS, what is the CAC, how the new acquisition happening, how many customers I am getting onboarded, what is my average order value that I am generating, how my customer is behaving today. So this complete insights is more like a drag and drop. So on top of these KPIs, if you want to build your own KPIs, this is more easy, scalable, and in a real quick time, you can just go ahead and enable a different KPIs, what that you are looking out for. So not only at a KPI level, and Snowflake Streamlit has the capability to enable and then make the data in a different visual format. Say, for example, if you want to see the efficiency quadrant, how efficiently my ad platform are getting into the quarter by quarter, how my revenue comparison is between the different platforms. So if you can just on click, it will just round down to the next level. On click, it will get into the next detail level. So the way we define the model, it's kind of a least granular level. And then all the dashboard, what we are showing at the aggregate level at the topmost hierarchy. So you can see it from the top-down approach at a topmost hierarchy, then drill down, and then drill down. So more than visuals, even if you can just get into the down, we can put it all this data in a tabular format. Again, this is more enriched, and then it is finally all the data quality checks applied. This data can be pretty much consumable for any of your downstream application as well. So if you want to present your own visuals, you just download and take the data out because it is curated and it is built properly on the model. And we can enable a multiple pages here as well. Within the same dashboard, we can get into a different personas, a overview and how the growth will looks like today and how is the channel performance. So if you can just click on the channel performance on a one click, it will just quickly switch to your channel performance. What is my ROA versus target? How is my spend distributed across the different platform? And then always we will recommend to keep one tabular view if you can look at the bottom. So this will pretty much gives you the one single view of all the data, what is there and how enriched the data is. You can simply download, take it back to your Excel, and Snowflake has a native Excel connectivity from the database directly, where you can just refresh and take the data out. So moreover, these KPIs at a very aggregate level, there is a lot of slicers. You call it as a filters or you call it as a prompts in a different visualization tool that can be pretty much customizable as per business needs. Because now we have one semantic view which holds the end-to-end process flow data from a different platform. So it is very simple and easy process. If you want to switch at a year level, or if you want to slice and dice at a different dimension attribute level, or if you want to roll it out and see at a different transaction level, yes, it can be enabled and it can be customized as per the business need. And the more advantage of the Streamlit app today is you can integrate this back with any of your website, any of your internal portal. The API endpoints will be pretty much stitchable with your existing system. So for the end users or the business users or for your IT operation team, they will not feel they are working on a new platform. More or less the same application can be integrated with any system. So this is more on the executive dashboard. I'll just quickly get into an one more dashboard and then followed by Snowflake forward. Yeah, this is a Snowflake Cowork screen, how it will look like. See, Snowflake Coworks is again a new feature which is released by Snowflake. Formerly, it was called as Snowflake Intelligence. So it is a AI-powered personal work agent, I can call it, which is built natively on top of the Snowflake data flow. So what it will do, it acts like a bridge between the user and to the complex enterprise data and where you can just go ahead and ask any question in a natural language. So what it will do, it will not, it looks like a chat window, like a open source chat window, but it's not exactly a chat window. It uses a multiple orchestration process in the backend. It will automatically analyze the data, run deep research across the structured databases plus unstructured data. Say, for example, most of the business today lives with a lot of structured data from any of the maybe a web application or a mobile app or CRM or ERP. Plus, there may be a lot of unstructured data, maybe your invoice or your purchase orders or any of your vendor registration or vendor quotation. Though this is the beauty of the Snowflake cover, which stitches your structured data, and also it will bring your unstructured data. It will do the model context at the backend, irrespective of the domain. It knows from where I have to pick the answer. Say, for example, if I am just asking a question, hey, what is my total revenue? So most of the revenue pretty much sits today within your structural data. If still you are living with any of the legacy system where your data might be exported and placed within S3 or any of the storage unit, Hevo can bring that real quick to the Snowflake. But this ingestion, or if you have any PDF as your sales order data, maybe your sales order might flies with some unstructured document or some of the images of your product catalog, which immediately and in a real quick time we can bring to Snowflake. The Snowflake cowork has that intelligence which runs behind a two brain, one as Cortex Search and Cortex Analyst, which will stitch the both structured data and unstructured data, and it will really bring the insights in a real quick time. So more than the dashboards today, the most of the CIO, CFO, or any of the order managers today, you no need to wait for a visual to answer your question. Get into the system, navigate to this UI, just go with a plain English. Hey, where is my order stand today? How many customers are shopped today? How many orders are still in my cart? So this is more in a analytical use case with any visualization tool. You have to bring data and then you have to model the data and then you have to build the KPIs, and it needs to be refreshed on a regular interval, and it will be at a very aggregated level. But with Snowflake Cover, it is a real beauty and the real advantage. You ask any question, it will use its own intelligence, and in a real quick it will bring. Say, for example, I want to know in a day how many customers are getting into my web app or a mobile app. They are just adding the data into the cart and they are not closing the order. It is a pretty much a need for most of the customers, most of the organizations today. But how Snowflake Cowork solves this problem is you can simply ask, it will immediately read, because Hevo is syncing the data in a 1 minute frequency. That is the beauty of Hevo. So once the data lands in Snowflake, it will just read and it will give you an analysis. Say, for example, what now we are scrolling through, it will just read at that level. Maybe you can stick to one. Show my weekly gross revenue by source for last 3 months. In a traditional analytical tool, if this visual is not available, you have to spend some time with a report developer and then you have to build this visual. You have to go through the testing. But here it is very simple. Just like how we are discussing with your peer, how we are discussing with your colleague, how we are discussing with your manager. You can just discuss and talk to your data. That solves a lot of your problem, and then real quick you can take a decision, and the 360 view of your business is available in one single window. So this is what Snowflake brings the value added to most of the organization. uh, yeah that's from our side in terms of the two dashboard and how Snowflake cowork is really bringing the more business value to the most of the organizations.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you so much, uh, Anand, for this demonstration. Let me just quickly go back to my screen and uh, just finish the remaining part of our webinar. Uh, can we stop sharing?
Yes, I.
Yeah, done. Great. Again, thanks again, Anant, for all the great inputs that you have given on how possibly we can align on our downstream requirements. Can we just quickly go over what were the business outcomes that
Yeah.
we got from that reusable solution that you just demonstrated?
Yeah, sure. So again, most of things we covered. See, this really cut down a lot of the manual efforts. There is a real quick business outcome I can talk about. Because today in most of the organization, like you download the data from Shopify, Amazon, Google Ads, Meta Ads, and then you combine them and you do the reconciliation and build a report, which is pretty much cut down here. That is a big business outcome, and it is 4x faster because everything is automated. There is no manual from data ingestion to getting the insight out of it. It will bring 30 to 50% on LTV because we get the unified view of a customer. We will keep one unification rule across all the different platforms to bring a 360 view of the customer. That really helps in terms of the improvement. And we are coming with a standard a 30 KPIs. It's the industry standard KPIs, which can be pretty much needed for any organization who are in this line of business on the D2C. And the technology stack wise, it is again the strong platform. Snowflake being the core data platform, we have seen all the capabilities and how Hevo really helps to bring the data in a real quick time. That is the biggest advantage and the real quick outcomes you can get into it. And DBT, Streamlit, and Snowflake Cortex code is are the core engine, which will really turn the raw data into a meaningful insights.
Right. And what would be like the overall timeline for, implementing this? Uh, if you can
Yeah.
walk us through this.
Yeah. So this is again a good question. How this implementation will look like? Most of the people have this question. As it is more like a solution which is already built by leveraging Hevo and leveraging Snowflake. The typical implementation will look like within 6 weeks. And then you can see like the first 2 weeks, more like setting up the connection, doing the discovery, understanding your data and all. And then the week 2 to week 4, setting up the semantic on top of the solution, what we have by the end of the 6th week, it will be in a live status. All the Streamlit dashboards, as well as the LLM capability to query in a natural language.
Wonderful, wonderful. So just to summarize, we have covered three aspects,
Yeah,
starting with Hevo, for having your source connectors integrated to Snowflake. We manage everything in terms of schema, monitor your data, and everything is with minimal engineering effort. I'll hand it over to Aprajit and Anand. You can talk about the other two aspects of the overall
yeah,
solution.
sure. Again, why Snowflake? Again, it is a one platform with fully governed where you can bring both structured and unstructured data. It is highly governed with role-based access control. The data is secured, and Snowflake follows all the security standpoint in terms of the HIPAA, SOC 1, SOC 2, and everything. And once the data lands here, why Snowflake, which we have seen through the demo, it's a self-service BA analytics where you can just go ahead and naturally ask your questions and you can get the insight out of it. So here comes now we know why Havo, why Snowflake, why PROLIM. See, technology alone does not create any business value. So the implementation approach is equally important when you choose the technology. PROLIM brings a lot of expertise in Snowflake. We are a elite partner with Snowflake, and we do have 100+ consultants who are certified. More than Snowflake, we are expertise in Hevo, and then that is the reason we are partnered together. And there are a lot of subject matter expert in this domain. So our experts are more good in terms of understanding the business. So we are today not asking customer to give the business requirements. We go and we suggest, hey, what you need to improve your business. Here comes why ProLim is. And all the key buying triggers which we covered, I'll just leave it for the eyes to read. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, guys, whoever is joined, we have a 14-day trial with Evo. You can just spin up your pipeline in minutes. Uh, Login, it's just similar to your Gmail login. So you can log in, create your pipeline. There's a 14-day trial, followed by you can also contact Prolim team for all the use cases which you saw today. If you want them to be actioned with your data, you can do that as well. And all the resources recording will be shared to you post webinar. I know we are on time, but if there are any questions, would love to take that. So please fill all your questions in the Q&A window. I see there's one question: is Hevo offered as a SaaS solution? Yes, we are a true SaaS, complete SaaS solution. Uh, to answer your question. Thank you again, Anant or Prajita, for your time, and thank you everyone who joined. We'll see you later.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.